We've just started the 5th season of the show here. We're shooting the 3rd episode of the new season of Rules of Engagement, and I came on board in the 3rd season. All of this came about really from a meeting with Tom Hurts, our creator, and Doug Robinson, our producer. I sat down with them with the view of perhaps doing a guest episode, a guest appearance opposite David Spade, with the possibility of doing a couple of episodes more in the season. That really ended up being half the 3rd season in effect, and at the end of the 3rd season they said, look, would you like to come on board full time? So as a full-time member of the cast in the 4th season, and I had such a wonderful time, and I'm thrilled to be back here and to sort of continue this wonderful journey. Well, I think the chief difference is that with this particular type of show, it's a multicam studio audience comedy, and Nip Tuck is shot very much in the vein of most other hour-long dramas, in that it's a single camera show, and that was an extraordinary experience because I actually had the opportunity to shadow a plastic surgeon in preparation for the role. So was literally sitting in on surgeries as patients were undergoing breast augmentation or facelifts or cheek implants and chin reconstructions. So that was a fascinating experience for me, and it was also my first foray really in American television into drama, and that's something that I've always got a keen eye on, because much of my experience in the States thus far has been within the comedic world, be it on television or in films. So that was certainly a very interesting experience because it offered me the opportunity to do something different. I think Rules of Engagement. I'd been a massive David Spade fan growing up. I recall watching Just Shoot Me when I was 14 years old at my home in South Africa, and now to have the opportunity to work with him is something that still continues to thrill me really day in and day out. In terms of the manner in which the shows are shot, you're spending probably 12 hours a day on a Nip Tuck set, whereas here, you rehearse 3 of the 5 days, you pre-shoot one of the days, as is the case today, but it's really all about the live audience taping, which we will do tomorrow evening, and the audience plays a huge role in the piece as well, in terms of what they respond to and how they kind of affect the rhythm of the scenes that we're doing. So, they're 2 incredibly different experiences, but with both casts, Rules of Engagement, I'm now a regular on the show, but I started off as, sort of simply doing a recurring arc, as it were, and on both sets I was welcomed incredibly warmly, and feel very happy to have met the people that I have on both. Nip Tuck, sort of the comedy can get very dark and make one feel certainly uncomfortable at times, and that's something that I'm incredibly attracted to, and it was great fun to shoot a scene when my dad comes to the plastic surgery to say, look, you really need to not do this or improve upon that. Oh, and by the way, I want you to perform my penis enlargement. You just don't sort of see that those reveals coming really. This show, as I say, it all came about from a meeting really. I'm not at that stage in my career really where offers are going out to me. I'm still auditioning and working hard, trying to pave my way in this industry, and so this is what made this even more extraordinary, in truth, was that Tom Hurts, the creator of our show, was familiar with Aliens in America, which was the show that brought me over to the States, and Doug Robinson works for Happy Madison and was familiar with my work from Paul Blart Mall Cop, and both of those are sort of comedies, and that's what really paved the way for me to be on this show here. Well, thank you ever so much for your support and for your time, and I hope that we can give you something over the next 22 episodes to really repay the faith and the loyalty that you've shown with the show, and thank you so much for coming out today.
Kindly, please.
Thank you. Action! Give me action.
Right. Mr. Bingham, yes. Hi there. I'm so sorry, but Mr. Dunbar not available right now. Of course, you're more than welcome to leave a message, but
I'm afraid you can't go in there, so... Oh.
This week is the week of the ass, as I like to call it. You know, we're just showing it off. Jeff, I see him running the stairs for a reason other than exercise, and I sort of look at that and say, you know what? My ass has gotten smaller, and I'm going to do that too. So I decide to incessantly run the stairs until my ass gets of quality size. That's sort of what we're dealing with. A nice, plump, firm, round ass. My wallet doesn't fit back there anymore, apparently, so, you know, it's time to run the stairs. My character's interesting, to say the least. It started off as sort of a glass is half full type of guy, and just happy to be living and looks at the positives of all things. And it's sort of degraded to dimwit, borderline, you know, moron. Maybe there's not even a borderline anymore. Maybe it is just fallen into moron. But no, I mean, it's been fun. That was what they've discovered, you know, through the 4 years. Hopefully it's no reflection of who I am. Hopefully. I've never done a sitcom before, and this is my first time. Even as a guest star, I've never done anything. And it's completely different, night and day, from the schedule to the acting. I never did it because I was scared of it. I didn't like the style of acting. I didn't understand it. You know, it was very big and larger than life. So it's taken some adjusting, but the writing's good. It's much easier than I thought it was going to be, especially when you're surrounded by, like, you know, Patrick and Spade and everyone else. So it's been great, man. I'm digging it. Timing is an interesting thing. You can have it in life. You know, you can be funny in life, but once you have to say another man or woman's words, you know, it becomes a little difficult. And it's just about finding the rhythm of the scene, whether it's a faster paced scene or slower. Here, it's a different situation. You have to wait for laughs. So there's a scene that might write and read a certain way, and the pacing of it gets sort of sidelined because of the audience laughter, and you sort of lose the flow of the scene a little bit, you know. So you sort of adjust on the fly and, you know, find the moments, and, you know, don't be afraid to take your time when you need to. There's all kinds. It's really sort of an art form. The timing of it, anyway. It's less about being funny than finding the funny, you know, within the moments.
Oh my God! Pam's gonna be our surrogate.
Yep, that's what we've been talking about for the last hour.
I'm so excited.
I know. I'm so excited too. Okay.
Idiot.
Yeah, go back in there. Come on, go back in there. So.
It's fun to do scenes with people who don't drop the comedy ball, which is nice, you know. It always feels good and safe and easier to play when other people know what they're doing too, so it's good. I think it's pretty well balanced. I think that, you know, the men are certainly imperfect and the women are wildly imperfect as well, and I think that it's kind of a good trade-off, you know, of power roles, and I think sometimes they're on top and sometimes we're on top, and I think it's good. And I think that the Jeff and Audrey relationship is sadly and oddly similar to a lot of real relationships, you know, in that sometimes he wins, sometimes I win, and sometimes nobody wins, but it's funny in the process. Oh, God, there have been so many. I mean, there have been so many that I loved that it's really hard. I love the ones where my character behaves really poorly and very self-centeredly, which is pretty much every episode. But there was one actually where Spade's character loves musical theater, and it's a big secret. So that was incredibly fun to play because he just went way over the top with how much he loved musicals, and it was great. And then I sort of had something on him to lord over his head, both literally and figuratively. It was fun. For our characters, they're certainly exploring the surrogacy line of thought, which is odd and seems kind of heavy, but I think our writers have a great way of taking even really serious subjects and finding the funny in them. So, so we're looking for a surrogate, and I think she might turn out to be someone that Jeff... I don't know the exact storylines, they never really tell me, but I've heard all kinds of odd little quirks there, and the surrogate that we'd chosen becomes sullied by David Spade's character. That's all I'll say about that.
really from a meeting with Tom Hertz, our creator, and Doug Robinson, our producer. I sat down with them with the view of perhaps doing a guest episode, a guest appearance opposite David Spade, with the possibility of a member of the cast in the fourth season. And I had such a wonderful time, and I'm thrilled to be back here and to sort of continue this wonderful journey. Doing a couple of episodes more in the season, that really ended up being half the third season in effect. And at the end of the third season, they said, "Look, would you like to come on board full time?" So, as a full time. We've just started the fifth season of the show here. We're shooting the third episode of the new season of Rules of Engagement, and I came on board in the third season. All of this came about